back to Sports and Courts Radio with John Phillips on 1010XL.
Welcome back. It is 10:13 Eastern Time. That means it is 7:13 in California. For the second week in a row, I have woken somebody up at daylight to be on our show, and I appreciate it so much. Big Sam, are you on the line?
Yeah, I'm here, John.
What is up, buddy?
Not much. I'm actually sitting in downtown San Diego. I came down to see some friends, so I woke up for you.
Okay, very good. Can you see the ocean?
Not quite. I can see the ballpark, though.
Okay, very cool. Sam, I love your story, and we gotta put an exclamation point on it. But I want to share with my listeners just a little bit about you, and I want to start with your parents and the place you were born, if you don't mind sharing that.
Yeah, actually, I was born in Manila in the Philippines. My parents were Bible translators over there in the 70s and early 80s, and my brother and I were actually born over there. Spent the first few years of my life in Manila, and then on a small island in southern Luzon called Balut. They were translating books of the New Testament there. And then was there off and on, back and forth from the States until about fourth grade, and then moved over here permanently.
What were the accommodations your parents lived in? I saw that in the story that was written about you years ago.
Oh, it was pretty interesting. When I was really little, we actually lived in a bamboo hut. It was the thing. It was the deal with the raised floor, bamboo slats, grass roof. It was the real deal. Little island. There's a 6-foot monitor lizard that lives in our house and ate chickens. But then I barely remember that.
Right.
But the stuff I do remember was from first through third grade. We lived in a pretty nice little house and had a tin GI roof. It wasn't bad at all.
I love it. And God bless your parents, and that's fantastic. And ultimately, you wound up at Washington State University. Tell us about that.
Yeah. Played tight end and defensive end in high school down in Huntington Beach, and Mike Price recruited me out of Washington State. Ended up going there, had a great career. Ended up being team captain in all Pac-10, and we played in the Holly Bowl, Sun Bowl, and the Rose Bowl while I was there. So we had a good time. It was awesome.
Have you kept in touch with Coach Price?
A little bit. Yeah, I've kept in touch with some of my coaches.
I had a chance to meet him when he was. I hate to even bring it up, when he was briefly the coach at the University of Alabama, and he got a rough deal there, and I know he hated that whole scene, but he's a
yeah. I don't really want to touch on that.
No, nor do I. Phenomenal guy.
Yeah.
And what sports did you compete in college?
I was a dual sport athlete. I competed in shot put and discus on the track team, and then football.
There's a picture of you on the www.mybtsa that I think you actually have on your website, which we'll get into too, of you with the shot put, which is just amazing to me. You're 6'9". What's the current weight?
335.
335. Is that with or without breakfast?
That's without breakfast.
Okay.
It's a good 335 too. It's not.
No, I've seen the pictures, as have my girlfriend, and she kind of said, yeah, we got to get him to Jacksonville, and I said, hang on, I'm just kidding. But I did tell I think I shared this with you, and I'll share it with the listeners. But the scouting assistant for the Houston Texans, and I emailed back and forth about you being the future McDreamy of the NFL, and I it was on a lack of sleep that I said that, and she's going to hold it against me forever.
I think she might.
But ladies out there, he's not an ugly chap.
But I am engaged.
Yes, congratulations, and I have not yet met your fiance, but I've seen photos of you, and you're a lovely, lovely couple.
Appreciate it.
Back, let me try to jump off some of the awkwardness, and so at 6'9", when did you hit your growth spurts?
Man, I was born. This is a pretty funny story. I was born 24 inches long in Manila. My mom said that the nurses were carting me around the hospital like I was the chosen one, like the biggest baby they've ever seen. So I've always been a head taller my whole life than everybody. When I was in kindergarten, they thought I was a third grade assistant on the playground. They'd always try to kick me off the equipment. And then, fifth grade, I looked like an eighth grader. Ninth grade, I just looked like a giant, tall, skinny runt. But I started to fill out. But I think I was 6'8" my senior year of high school.
Okay, so you've had the height for the most part.
I've had the height the whole time.
The thought of you being athletic enough to do discus and shot put at that height is amazing to me. Any team questioning your footwork just needs to watch you in either one of those sports. Or watch you play in football. It's fantastic. Well, let's get into the UFL, man. I know you got a shot through with Coach Denny Green. Tell us about that.
I was doing some extra work up in LA. I was actually doing the commercial for the UFL. We were filming it up at the Rose Bowl, and Coach Bassel and Denny Green were there. And Denny Green just decided to come up to me and ask if I was still playing football, and I told him no. Hadn't played in 4.5 years. And he said, I think it's in your best interest to come to our tryout down in San Diego tomorrow. So I figured, hey, why not? Went there, did really well. They signed me on the spot, and then I kind of worked my way back into shape with my first season and ended up starting for him.
This is fantastic. You were actually on the Olympic development team during that break, weren't you?
That's true. Yeah, I was staying in shape. I was on a team sponsored by VS Athletics, and they tried to keep all the track athletes in the area in shape, getting ready for the 2008 Olympics. And I had the B standard going in for the trials, but ended up missing it by one spot.
Wow. Okay, man. And currently, you started all last year at left tackle or right tackle?
Right tackle.
Good.
Yeah, play both though.
Okay. And we're trying to find you a spot in the NFL.
We're hoping for it. Hoping for it.
Any Jaguar scouts out there? I've already talked to 2 or 3 teams. You better get on this guy early. 6'9", 335, and one heck of a guy. He was the team captain at Washington State. He is a fantastic guy. Now, let's talk about your other interests, Sam. Tell us about your artwork.
Okay. This is something my whole life I've been interested in. I think when I was little, I realized I had a talent for it, and I just kind of thought it was cool to be the kid that knew how to draw. It kind of got me through school, and ended up becoming a serious interest of mine, and got my my bachelor's in arts at Washington State, or bachelor's in fine arts at Washington State, and continue to hone my skill and study. And you can check out all my stuff. I do a lot of portraiture for people, some abstract work, paintings, drawings. I pretty much do everything. But you can check it out at samlightbody.com, which is my first and last name and .com.
It's fantastic stuff. In fact, I told Sam, and I was kind of kidding at the time that I'd be his agent, but I wanted to be paid in artwork. It's that good. Yeah. It's truly amazing stuff, and you're very diverse, both in the illustrations and it's overwhelming how talented you are.
Yeah, that's something I was doing too. I was actually teaching art at a high school. It was actually a juvenile hall, and I did that in my in-between period, being off of football. And that was something that just kept me going, and I was producing a ton of artwork at the time. And the kids were actually inspiring too. I mean, I'd sit in there and draw with them, help them, teach them everything I could. A lot of history, techniques, and they were learning like crazy too. I ran into one kid outside the court. He's running down the street going, "Mr. Lightbody, what's up, man?" I didn't really recognize him. I looked like, was wearing gangster clothes. I was like, "Hey, man, what's up?" He's like, "Hey, I had your class forever. You taught me how to do portraits." I was like, "Oh, that's great, man. I'm glad you learned it." He lifted up his pant leg, and he had he had inked up the whole inner thigh of his leg, and he's like, "Yeah, I did this up in state." I was like, "Oh man."
Who knew that?
I guess he was the most popular guy at the state then.
Yeah, he was probably giving out free ink all over the place with the Sam Lightbody inspired originals.
But hopefully, I actually helped people out.
Well, there you go. Man. I knew going in you'd be great for the show. We haven't spent near enough time together, but it's we're going to real soon when you're in Baltimore playing, and you're not gonna be able to get rid of me, and or wherever these wide open teams. But I truly appreciate you coming on, Sam. And is there anything else you want to update us on? How's the team look for this year? I know you guys haven't had many workouts yet.
Yeah, the Sacramento deal. We're all hoping for the best. They postponed the season 30 days. The day before training camp, we got that news. They figured it would be a better deal to wait for the NFL lockout to be over and let all the free agency kind of settle up and let the guys have a chance to either get on an NFL roster or not, and then maybe come play in the UFL. And then I think they had some workers' comp issues that they had to sort through. But I've heard from all the sources, coaches, and staff and people like that we're going to play 100%. So if I don't get picked up by an NFL team, I'll definitely be ready to play for Coach Green in Sacramento.
Absolutely. And either way, fans can check us out at samlightbody.com, and I always tweet about my players and what they've done game by game on my BTSA on Twitter and mybtsa.com and Facebook and everywhere else. But Sam, man, I appreciate you coming on and go spend some time with your fiance and good to talk to you.
I will. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, Sam.